We can add loop stitches to any part of any project, but it is better not to add them to the edge stitches because they form quite messy edges. So I'm going to knit the first stitch of this row and I'm going to add a loop to the next stitch. The first step is to almost knit a stitch. So we go into the stitch from left to right, wrap the tip of the right needle with the yarn, pull it through, but we don't slip this stitch off the left needle yet. The second step would be to actually make a loop, and this step differs a little bit depending on how we hold the yarn. If you hold yarn in your right hand, then hold the right needle with your left thumb and index finger like that, so that the needles are almost parallel, and most importantly there is a slot between the needles. And then you take the yarn and move it through that slot to the front of the work like this. Then you place your left thumb on that strand and then move the strand over the thumb and back through the slot to the back of the work like this. The thumb determines the size of the loop, and at this point you can make the loop a bit bigger or you can make it tighter. It's totally up to you. If you hold yarn in your left hand, the process would be a little bit different. Because the yarn is in the left hand, right? So it helps to use the right index finger to bring the yarn to the front and forming a loop. And then you simply insert your left thumb into that loop like this. And again, use the right index finger to move the yarn to the back of the work. No matter how you form a loop, you might find your own way, which is more comfortable to you, and that's perfectly fine. You need to have the loop there, so no matter how you form it. And the next step would be to knit this almost knitted stitch one more time. So we go into the stitch again, left to right, wrap the tip of the right needle with the yarn, pull it through, but this time we slip the stitch off the left needle. Because we knitted one stitch twice, we now have an extra stitch on the needle. And in the last step of this process, we're gonna get rid of that stitch while at the same time making that stitch secure the loop, so it's not as loose anymore. And we do it by passing this stitch over this one. So we insert the tip of the left needle from left to right into the second stitch from the tip of the right needle, and pass it over just as we do when we bind off stitches. That's it. Now we have one stitch as a result, which is good. We didn't change the number of stitches. And we have a beautiful loop hanging here. And this loop is quite safe because it is secured by that stitch that we passed over. Let's do it again. With the yarn in the right hand, we almost knit a stitch like this. Don't slip this off the left needle yet. Hold the right needle so that you form that slot. Move the yarn through the slot, then place your left thumb on the yarn, form the loop, go back through that slot, knit the stitch again, and slip it off. Now, final step. Get rid of that stitch while securing this lovely loop. With the yarn in your left hand, you will again almost knit a stitch. No slipping of this stitch yet. Then you use the index finger to move the yarn to the front, place the thumb in that loop, move the yarn back, knit that stitch one more time, and pass the second stitch from the tip of the right needle over the first one and off the needle. Again, the same loop. See, it doesn't matter how you hold the yarn. You can add these loops anywhere in your project. What to do in the wrong side rows? There are several options. You can knit all stitches in every wrong side row like I did over here, and that gives you kind of a garter stitch base. You can purl all stitches in wrong side rows like I did over here, giving you a stockinette stitch base. Visually they don't differ that much, but the structure of the fabric is different. The garter stitch section is wider than the stockinette stitch section, just like garter stitch is wider usually than stockinette stitch. You can also work loop stitches in the wrong side rows, and that will give you those beautiful loops on both sides of the fabric. The choice is up to you. If you find this tutorial helpful, please subscribe to my channel and click the bell icon to be notified every time I publish a new video. Happy knitting, my friend. I'll talk to you in the next tutorial.